It's time to crank up the PC outrage machine, everybody. Take a look at this headline in Huffington Post. Dave Chappelle's jokes about Kevin Spacey have some viewers up in arms. Now, I'm just going to, in a little bit, you'll see the reality of the headline versus what's really going on in the world. I mean, it really is, the fact that they wrote this headline is a scandal in and of itself, because it's pretty much made up. Like, you want to talk about fake outrage? This is as fake as the fake outrage gets. So, they're talking about Chappelle's new Netflix special, which, by the way, I highly recommend. I watched it the other day. Corin and I spoke about it a little bit on Kyle and Corin. I saw it on New Year's Eve, and I thought it was awesome. There's, I think, 2 in 1 kind of thing or whatever, but both of them were superb. But Chappelle said, quote, "Wow, I mean, it really is bad out here. Kevin Spacey's out here grabbing men by the pussy. I didn't even know that was possible." And then he went on to say the 14-year-old who Kevin Spacey groped, quote, "grew up to be gay anyway, and Kevin Spacey sniffed that shit out like a truffle pig. I've been to a lot of parties in my day, never been to a good one that had 14-year-old boys in it. All joking aside, Kevin Spacey shouldn't have done that shit to that kid. He was 14 years old and forced to carry a grown man's secret for 30 years. The saddest part is, if he had been able to carry that secret for another 6 months, I would get to know how House of Cards ends." So, yeah, he's joking. He's joking. And he also added that very important line of, all jokes aside, it's fucked up what happened to that 14-year-old kid. But nonetheless, Huffington Post writes this headline, and here are the examples of the outrage that they describe. On Twitter, one user says, "He was a child. He was taken advantage of by an adult. He was abused. Educate yourself. Then go find your morals. Hashtag disgusted by ignorance." By the way, what are we looking at in terms of the outreach of that tweet? That got a grand total of 1 retweet. Now, mind you, that tweet is also included in an article on Huffington Post that's on the front page. And even with that, it was 1 retweet. All right, another person said, "Dave Chappelle's take on Louis C.K. and Kevin Spacey's misdemeanors is utterly disgraceful and normalizes sexual abuse extensively. He is a fence-sitter and also a rape apologist who simply profits off all those victims and shamelessly trivializes their ordeals." After shamelessly trivializing their ordeals. All right, so there's another person super outraged. 1 retweet, 11 likes. So, listen, this is what people mean when they talk about the so-called social justice warriors. You're taking something that is in a comedy special. The guy is literally joking around. This isn't a policy statement. This isn't a thesis. He's not saying, I think it is wonderful that Kevin Spacey's groping 14. Of course not. In fact, he said the opposite in the midst of his jokes. So, for you to take this and attempt to turn it into some sort of a scandal, as if, well, that's it. Obviously, Dave Chappelle is, a rape apologist, and he's transphobic, and he's homophobic, and he's this, and he's that, and blah, 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 blah. See, what you're doing is, you're making it so that when there are real cases of rape apologetics and transphobia and homophobia, you're making it now so that regular people go, yeah, here we go again. I'm sure this is rape apologia. Well, no, because you're just, this is the boy who cried wolf. You're just saying about a comedian who is joking around and made sure to say it's fucked up what's happening to this kid. You're making it like, you're a monster. You're a monster, sir. But no, he's not a monster. And now your accusations of other people being monsters don't have any teeth in them, even if the people you're accusing in the next cycle are monsters. So you're actually hurting the cause that you claim to care about the most. But also, look, there is a hefty angle here of they're trying to suck themselves off. Like, oh, I'm such a good person. Look at me. I'm such a good person. Let me show you how outraged I am, and my outrage is going to misfire a giant chunk of the time, and I'm going to be mad at comedians making jokes. Well, then, regular people don't take you seriously. Because what you are is, and they would never realize this or admit this, you're actually Puritans. Because it used to be that it was right-wingers who, the religious right, oh, you're making jokes that are against the nuclear family. Oh, this is the degradation of our society. To have these edgy comedians make jokes that don't conform to our worldview. I'm offended by your jokes, sir. That was a right-wing Christian fundamentalist thing. And now you're trying to turn it into a left-wing thing. Where you're not, repeating in unison the mantra of only talking about things like transphobia and terrible situations like with Weinstein and Louis C.K. and others, instead of doing nothing but condemnation wall to wall and talking about how outraged you are by that. If you're not doing that in lockstep 24/7, you must be in favor of these people and you're a rape apologist. It's so fucking made up. It's such bullshit, and it's Puritanism is what it is. So I'm here to tell you, they think they're being like liberal and open-minded and progressive. You're not. You're being the exact opposite. And also, whatever happened to, even if you genuinely believed, hey, this is fucked up stuff, whatever happened to the progressive ideal of redemption and forgiveness? Like, hey man, people are fucked up. They do messed up stuff, but we gotta not give up on humanity and try to rehabilitate people. I mean, one of the cornerstones of progressive ideology or liberal ideology, for example, is like, if you have somebody who committed an actual crime, robbery, theft, murder, whatever the fucking thing is, no, we don't lock them up and throw away the key, because that's what backwards conservative morons do who are not willing to try rehabilitation, and they only want to be punitive. So a liberal idea is, well, let's believe in redemption and rehabilitation and try to make somebody, try to accept people for who they are, but also help everybody improve. Well, no, now it's like you're excommunicated because you're a rape apologist even though you're not, and you're transphobic even though you're not. But you said things that I was offended by, now you're excommunicated, and now we're outraged, and we're going to fucking try to get Netflix to pull your shit down. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. There's so much shit to be actually outraged about. Yet you're going around getting mad at comedians for fucking around, and even in the midst of fucking around saying, by the way, it's really fucked up what happened to these people. It maybe take some of that outrage and direct it to the fact that 45,000 people die every year in the United States of America because they don't have access to basic health care. Half the country makes $30,000 a year or less. We're engaged in 7 interventions, including 2 full-scale wars, right the fuck now. Right now. Your tax money, my tax money. Our infrastructure gets a grade of D. You want to be concerned with issues affecting minorities? Great, I'm right there with you. You do know that the death penalty is overwhelmingly, disproportionately used against black people when black people and white people commit the same crime. You want to talk about that? Let's talk about that. You want to talk about the racist drug war, which again, disproportionately is used against black people? Let's abolish the war on drugs. Let's abolish the death penalty. Let's fight for actual justice. But no, you're too busy sniffing your own farts and making yourself feel like a good person. Oh, a comedian said something. No! Quick, where's the bandwagon of outrage? Get the fuck over yourself. And by the way, listen, this rant is not even particularly directed at anybody, because this is a made-up story. It's made up. The article is, Dave Chappelle's jokes about Kevin Spacey have some viewers up in arms. Yeah, you know how many viewers? What, 15? Let's literally count it. From the article, I just told you from the article. One of the tweets has 1 retweet, the other one has 1 retweet, so that's 4 people in total, the people who wrote the tweets and then the retweets. And then 11 likes in one of the tweets, so that's 15 people. You found 15 people who are sitting around going, oh, Dave Chappelle's a fucking bigot. Dave Chappelle. That's not a story. That's not a story. That's called fucking fringe assholes who are sitting there looking to be offended by something. That's what that is, just so you know. So your article's fucking made up. And by the way, I'm going to make this final point real quick. This is what makes the left look bad, man. Like, I know you think you're being a good person. I know you think you're being a good person. But when you write articles like this, and this is what you care about, then this is when regular people go, oh, I guess that's what the left is about. whining over fucking jokes like little Puritan bitches. You understand? So you are making your side look bad because you are not a serious person caring about serious issues, trying to improve people's lives through policy. So I just want everybody to understand that. This is a fringe, pathetic minority, which is why there were no retweets or barely any likes and all that, and why it's a mucked up article. This is a fringe thing. So I know I'm like worked up now, but I really shouldn't be because I'm preaching to the choir. Everybody fucking agrees with us. But my point is, this opens up the door for people to go, wow, look, the left is crazy. Look at what the fuck they're doing. No, nonsense. That's why I've always said, and I've been consistent on this, that one of the principles of the left is and should be free speech. And I know some people go, oh, no, that's not true. The right embraces it more. They're fucking giant hypocrites, and we don't even need to get into the details of how hypocritical they are. They fucking love a president who sued Bill Maher over a joke. He said he wants to ban flag burning, deeply against the First Amendment. He said he wants to de-license news agencies. Of course that's against the First Amendment. But for lefties, we have, for example, the ACLU. The ACLU believes so much in the principle of free speech that they even defended Milo Yiannopoulos in court, a guy who really is a toxic, odious bigot. It's not me speaking. Look at his fucking words, and it's clear. He's a bigot, but the ACLU said, we think he has a right to speak. The ACLU literally argued on the side of the Klan because they wanted to do a peaceful march through Skokie. So that's a real principled stand, and that's what liberalism, and that's what leftism really is about. Being principled in your approach to the world. The same thing that leads me to call out the United States for fucking war crimes and leads me to say the United States of America is acting like a terrorist government because we waged an illegal war in Iraq and killed hundreds of thousands of civilians. The same thing that leads me to apply international law objectively and say the U.S. needs to follow it like any other fucking country follows it. That's the same thing that leads me to say the grotesque free speech from the right should be protected, as well as the left. So we got to learn how to be principled. You want to be principled or not? You want to be a hack or not? To be principled means, yeah, when the U.S. does torture, that's just as bad as if fucking Iran does torture. So everybody who did the torture should be fucking prosecuted. By the same token, one of our principles is free speech. Okay, so if somebody says something hideous, by all means, they can say something hideous, and I'm not going to fucking melt like a snowflake and make that my main focus to shut people up who are saying things that I don't like. So I think I've said enough on this one, but needless to say, not a fan of the PC outrage machine.